Let's start with the Class 8 Geography, the second chapter, the land, soil, water, natural vegetation, and wildlife resources. In this chapter, we'll be studying about the five major resources, natural resources from which we get ample amount of things in life. So here, let's know about the land. So the first thing is about the land. The land is among the most important natural resources. This covers about 30% of the total area of the Earth's surface. So remember the 30% and remaining the 70% is the water. And we also know the land distribution is uneven. That means not every place is the same. Some places we have mountain, plateaus, and fold mountains, some other sort of mountains. And then we also have as forest areas. There's not much uh, populated. And plains and river valleys that also it's suitable for the agriculture. Why? Because the soil comes before the river, so and agriculture take place, the business and agriculture. So these areas are the densely populated. Now let's read about the usage of the land. We use land for the agriculture. We have forest, mining, building houses, roads, setting up of the industries. So this is termed after land use. This is termed by the physical factors such as the topography, soil, climate, mineral, availability of the water. So if you see, even if you want to run a business on a particular place, there these factors are very much important, because if there is no water, then you cannot run your own industry. Some kind of the factors, and if the climate is not good, then probably you cannot grow particular crop or any other food according to the climate. Soil also very important for the agriculture. It's a very crucial thing. Let's look at the table. So here, for the crop purpose, so here the land is divided into two types. That is a private land or the community land. So private lands are those lands where the individual are the owners, whereas the community lands are the owned by the community. Uh, and that is a common use, such as like for the fruits. When you buy a plot for the buildings, that is a private. And if you go to the park and amusement park, that is called community property resource. So as the population increases day by day, and the land is very limited, and there is no available the quality of the same land. So to build up the commercial areas, the people are going to in the urban area, just to expand the agricultural land in the rural areas. So today, there is a changes in the land use pattern also. So that the usage pattern that depends on the land degradation, landslide, soil erosion, and desertification. So these are the major threats to the environment. So when land is used by the big population, then it's also very duty to conserve the land. And you cannot go and cut the forest, because we have to grow the for trees for the agriculture. So that is a land resources, how much percent have been used and how much percent has been left for the forest. So let's quickly understand how the soils are the form. So here, so soil is it's made up of organic matter, minerals, and weathered rocks, and that are found on the earth. So this is closely linked to the landform. This determine the type of the soil. So here, this the where we grow the crop. So this is a topsoil with the humus and vegetation, and this is subsoil with the sand silt combination and clay, the combination of all three. And this that the part this part, complete part is the weathered rock material, and this is a parent rock. So let's quickly understand how what are the factors of the soil formation. So this is a parent rock. So this is responsible for the color, texture of the soil. And next is the relief. This is a topography. In other word, this is a shape of the land, whether it is in the high altitude area or in the slope, which determines the accumulation of the soil. So just think about the land. Your land is in an elevated form, then you'll be having a most of your soil accumulated at the bottom part of the. That's why in the mountain region you will find the rocks on the top, and most of the soil is at the down. The third factor is at the flora, fauna, and microorganisms. Because remember, humus. We talked about the humus. This is a decade matter of the plants and animals. They're a very important level of the natural vegetation. And the fourth important factor is the time. So it takes a lot of time for a big piece of rock to convert into a nice thick layer of the soil, and it is possible because of the weathering. And the last factor is about the climate. Temperature determine rainfall, and that with the influence of rainfall, where we can see the weathering process. There is a lot of rain. Water will be accumulated. When water accumulates, it was to move here and there. When it moves, it will carry a lot of soil along with that. So this is all about the factors that affect for the formation of the soil. So now let's know what is soil degradation and how it is conserved. So this is also known as the soil erosion, and the reason is about this happens about the human fault and the nature fact. Important factors are uh, deforestation, overgrazing, overuse of the chemical fertilizers or pesticides, rain wash, landslides, and the flood. So let's talk about some of the methods to prevent the soil erosion. The first method is mulching. Suppose this is a land and these are the crops or sown. In between, there is a space. In that space, you put a layer of organic matter. So what it does is it helps in detaining the soil moisture. So because the plants which are already there, they are sucking the moisture from the soil, and in between the organic matter, you can say there will be a result of moisture which can be used by the plants the later on. And the second method is contour barriers. So contours are nothing but making barriers a lot of things. So here suppose here the plants are there. You make the barriers with the help of the rock or the soil so that when you pour water, water stays in between. And the third method is rock dam. So if this is your land, if you put a rocks on it, it it prevents the barrier. So this prevents it. So that's doesn't allow to move the soil out of this. And the next method is the terrace farming. So on the slope land, so here the soil doesn't go down and the water remains same. And the fifth method is intercropping. Suppose the this is a land, and this is the one level of cropping we are growing, and this is the second level of cropping, and third this is called as intercropping. What it does it, these are grown at separate times so that it will protect the soil from the rain wash. And the sixth method is called contour plowing. Suppose the land is at the elevated side, contour plow means it we have to grow in a parallel way. What happens at time, so here the soil doesn't go down, the water also get not going down, the crops doesn't allow the soil to move, it will be held with the roots. And the last method is a shelter. So in the coastal areas, and there are the rows of trees have been planted to check the wind movement, uh, to carry this soil out. So the next topic we talk it about the soil. This is a very thin layer of the grainy substance, the soil. Next topic is the water. This is a renewable natural resource, and three-fourths of the Earth surface is covered with the water, and that's called as water planet. So here the fresh water is only 2.7%, and this is through how that is through from the rain and from the melting of the glacier. So here only 1% of water is available for the fresh water, because these fresh water are very precious because we drink it. So water will never get over. Always it will be there in the earth. But we are talking about the consumable water, that is a fresh water, that's matter here, because we are going to drink that, the fresh water, not the ocean water. So we use water for the so many purpose, like drinking, washing, and reusing for the agriculture industries. So also we use for generation of the electricity. So it depends on the population, and to get their demands, we have to make use of this water to run off this. And also there is a shortage of the water due to the population. Yes, due to the population, there is a scarcity of the water in many regions of the world. So most of like Africa, West Asia, South Asia, and parts of Western USA and Northwest Mexico and parts of South America, and there is a scarcity and shortages. And how to conserve the water resources? So as is increase in the population, so it's very important to look after the conservation. It's a very necessary thing. So here the various steps have been taken care to conserve the this natural resource. So even though we know that water is a renewable source, but its overuse or the pollution that makes very unfit for the use. So discharge of untreated or the partially treated sewage and agricultural chemicals and industrial effects of the water or the major contaminants. So they pollute the water with the nitrates and the metal pesticides that may harm for the people if they use that for the drinking purpose. The next topic is natural vegetations and wildlife. So when we say natural vegetation and wildlife, we mean it is biosphere. So what is biosphere? It is a sphere where the lithosphere and it is interrelated to each other, because atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere comes in a contact. If you think about, lithosphere is the land on which we're standing, hydrosphere is a water bodies, and atmosphere is about the land below the sky, there's a air. When these three zones come in contact, we have biosphere. So if you see in all of these places, we have a living beings, and they are interrelated with each other for survival. Human being, we live on the land, but we need air to breathe, that is the atmosphere, and we also need water to drink, that is a hydrosphere. So they are like interdependent on each other. This system is called ecosystem. Ecosystem is nothing but a biosphere in which living being are interrelated and interdependent on each other for survival. One when we say wildlife, we include definitely a animal, birds, insects, animals, because they give milk, meat, and wool. Birds, they eat insects. When something eats someone, the one who ate is called decomposers, because the things are going to be decomposers in the stomach. So the animals, the birds in this like in the ecosystem. And the last topic is the natural vegetation. So natural vegetation is nothing but the plants, and it depends on the temperature and moisture, because to get a proper growth of the vegetation, this are very important. So the grasslands, curbs, and tundra regions, so these are the regions where it has been grouped as the forest. So in the grasslands and scrub and tundra region, so here uh, they'll be having a very heavy rainfall. So the trees are very in a good growth. So there will be a huge trees because of the rainfall. That's why tropical evergreen forest we tell, and tropical deciduous forest we call. Tropical regions as the center of the earth. From that place, as we go up, that is towards the temperate zone, or no, to the north pole, and there years the size of trees gets decreases because there is no moisture. If we notice during the winter season, because of no moisture, we will be in a need of using a moisturizing cream. So if you can remember that, it's easy to understand. So now let's talk about the conservation of the natural vegetation and the wildlife. So it's very important to maintain the ecosystem, to conserve the conserve the natural vegetation. Do not do not want to lose the natural vegetation. So forests are our wealth, and plants give a shelter to the animal, and they maintain the ecosystem. So the change of forest or the human interference that may cause very loss to the natural habitats. Yeah, so deforestation is one of the uh, main effect, which is impacting the conservation. So soil erosion, constructional activity, forest fires, tsunami, these are some of the human and natural factors which may lead to destroy the forest activities in the forest. So the animals are poached for the collection of an illegal trade for the hide, skins, and for the feathers. And some of the animals are like tiger, lion, elephant. So these are crocodile and rhinoceros, and have been catched. So these must be conserved by increasing the awareness program from the people. So national parks and wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere reserve, and these must be protected. So then only a natural vegetation and wildlife will be safe, and they can be used for the future. So conservation of the lakes and wetlands is also necessary to save the precious resource for the depletion. So there's a balance in the environment. If the relative number of the species is not disturbed, then human activities in several parts of the world have disturbed the natural. Yeah. So coming to the conservating part. So there are some awareness progress has been held from the for social forestry, that is like Vana Mahotsav. So this should be encouraged at the regional and the community level. And school children should also encourage to bird watch, and they has to visit the nature camp so that they learn the basic needs, and also they'll learn about this various species across that. So many countries have passed laws against the trade as well as the killing of the birds and animals. You're not supposed to kill the animals and the birds. In India, this killing lion, tigers, deer, great business bird, and peacock, these illegal. And international conservation convention cities has been also established that list several species of the birds and animals in the trade prohibited. Conservation of plants and animals is an ethical duty of every citizen, has to be taken care. Yeah, that's a complete chapter.